If you have a room that gets blasted with sunlight first thing in the morning, you know exactly why we wanted to make this change. Our teenage daughter's bedroom has east and north facing windows, and every morning the sun pours through the east facing window. We've had shades in here before, but they weren't blackout shades, so they really didn't solve the problem. When Joy Deco gifted us this blackout honeycomb shade, we were excited to see if it would make a difference. So let me share with you four things that we noticed along the way. First, I appreciated how everything was organized right out of the box. The shade arrived well protected, and there was a separate accessory box with the installation hardware and directions. I always think it's a good sign when a company puts some thought into the packaging because it usually means they've thought through the installation experience too. The instructions were laid out step by step, so before we even started, we could see exactly what the process would be like. One detail I especially appreciated was the size label that Joy Deco placed right on the shade. Before installing anything, I could immediately verify that we'd received the correct size. It sounds simple, but that's one less thing to worry about before you start putting up hardware. Second, installation was easier than we expected. My husband jumped in to help because he's definitely the installer in our family. Before putting anything up, we looked over the shade together and gathered the brackets and screws. Since we'd had shades in this window before, we already had existing holes, which made things even easier. He installed the brackets first, then lifted the shade into place. And when it snapped into the brackets, that little click was incredibly satisfying. It immediately felt secure. Sometimes those little moments tell you everything you need to know about the quality of the installation. Third, I really like the cordless design. Once the shade was installed, we added the little handle that attaches to the bottom rail. That little handle makes it easy to raise and lower the shade without constantly touching the fabric. The cordless design also gives the window a much cleaner, more modern look. And because it's a free stop shade, you aren't limited to just open or closed. You can stop it wherever you want, depending on how much light or privacy you're looking for. And finally, the whole reason we wanted this in the first place, the blackout effect. This room gets direct morning sunlight. Teenagers aren't exactly famous for wanting to wake up with the sunrise. We wanted something that would help keep the room darker so she could actually sleep in on weekends instead of being awakened by sunlight streaming through the window. When everything was finished, my husband gave us a thumbs up, and honestly, we were both impressed. Sometimes the best home upgrades aren't the flashy ones. They're the ones that make everyday life just a little more comfortable.